Time of Death, More Unnatural Causes is out on the road. Dr. Richard Shepherd is taking it to theatres across the Midlands. I'll tell you the dates in a minute or two. Meanwhile, he's here to tell us about the show. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing very well indeed. And how are you?
I'm very well too, but unfortunately, some of the people that you see on your table are not doing quite so well.
Well, this is true. This is true. I mean, I've had 40 odd years as a forensic pathologist. Although I was trained as a real doctor and made people better for the first 2 or 3 years of my career, very quickly turned to pathology, and I've stayed there ever since.
And in the world of pathology, obviously, you've got to do the talking for the patient. That you've got to be able to work out what it is that caused them to be working with you.
Most people are really only concerned about their own relatives. But, when your relative dies, it is important that people know the truth behind their cause of death. Was it just natural causes? Was there a mistake made? Was it a murder? Was it deliberate? And all these things are very, very important to the person, but also, in a sense, in a broader sense, to the state and to society.
Absolutely. And if somebody is causing the death of others, obviously that needs to be stopped. And with the work you do in pathology, I mean, we see all sorts of things on TV and they do some amazing things in the shows. I'm going to guess they're doing it in sequence which has been shortened for the time scale, though.
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, a show like Silent Witness is absolutely brilliant. They tell fantastic stories, lots of twists and turns. It's great, great fiction, but that's the key word. It is fiction. We take weeks and months, sometimes even years over cases. Obviously, they can't, and sadly, I can't go out and arrest people and question them, which I think would be great fun if I could do that. But that's not my role. My role is very specific to look at the body, to look at the scene, and to find the facts that are going to be important for the police investigation.
You need a strong stomach for this job.
Yes, I suppose, but I have to think back to postmortems one and two. After that, you get into the process of what is normal for what we're doing. It's not normal for everyday life and everyday people, but it's normal for what we are doing. And it is done to an end. And it is also done, and I do try and carry this over because people perhaps don't understand it. It is done with respect for the person, and it is done for a reason. It's not just a slash and grab. There is a skill and a process there that we are very proud to maintain.
And they say they did that. You're right there. It is about the fact that you're doing this at all shows the humanity of the situation. If we weren't interested, they wouldn't be human.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the state is very concerned with why people die. Now, the vast majority of people don't have an examination, don't have anything. Their death certificates are signed by a doctor in the hospital or the doctor, their GP. So the vast majority of people, there isn't a concern. But if it's not clear, the state says we need to know why our citizens are dying for public health reasons, for criminal reasons, and for accidental reasons. And that's why we do it.
Now, you've done 24,000 autopsies in your 40 odd years doing this. And that's a
Yeah.
lot of unfortunate people, isn't it?
Well, yes, I say, but we're running at sort of less than 10% of the population, and I'm one of many. But
Hmm.
sadly, people do die without anyone immediately expecting them to die or for a good reason, and that's why we need to pursue this. And some diseases have been discovered by forensic pathologists. Some heart diseases were originally diagnosed by forensic pathologists, seeing them and realizing that here was a natural disease process that they could identify. Some other drugs that are killing people, that things that are available on the internet, we see for the first time. COVID was probably diagnosed by a forensic pathologist as the first case and saying this is unusual, this is different, something is happening here. And so we have that public health component to our work as well.
And you've helped to get people to understand some big news story passings as well, haven't you? And I think it's important that these things aren't sensationalized, and that's part of your job to make sure it is purely facts.
That's, I'd say, everybody will tell the truth, but you just have to ask the right questions. And my skill, if I have one, is knowing which questions to ask and understanding the answers that the body is giving me, because it is important. And nowadays, particularly with social media around, these things can spin out of control so fast. And it is getting back to the root, the core of the issue, and explaining what the medicine is, because people say, oh, that couldn't possibly happen. Well, yes, some things do happen. You can't just wander off and be found dead. Yeah, well, yes, I'm afraid you can, for all sorts of reasons.
Absolutely. And there's been freak accidents that you've sort of unraveled as you've gone along. And you say so someone may not believe quite what's gone on there, but you with me many decades behind you are not going to stand up and suggest something when it isn't the evidence you've actually explored.
Well, we work from evidence. We don't go, oh, hang on a minute. It's not. We don't sort of have an I Spy book of causes of death and say, I haven't had one of those. I haven't had a meteorite strike on the head in the Arizona desert before. So let's do that in Clapham or Nottingham or wherever. We work from the evidence. We work from the facts that we are told. We work from the facts that we can find, and we put it together, and we combine that with our experience.
So, what can we expect on your time on the road?
We can expect, I hope, a couple. I'm going to talk about a couple of really interesting and slightly different cases. We're going to talk about what it is a forensic pathologist does, and how time is the sort of one of the fundamental structure of this. Why is it that time is important? And of course, you know this is silent witness. You know that always. When did the person die? When was an injury caused? How old is the injury? How long would they have survived if they had received that injury? Time is so important, and that's the structure of it. So how do we work out when someone died? What are the things I would actually do, and why are they important, and how medically do they come about? So we're going to tell those stories. We're going to tell a little bit about my life, what it's like to be a forensic pathologist, to be on call 24/7, waiting awfully for something bad to happen to someone else, for me to get called out to go and work. So it's a very strange feeling, that I'm not going to go and help this person, but I'm going to go and help the police and the society to understand it, and
Mhm.
waiting for the bleep to go off.
And it's certainly a comfort for their families' understanding in most cases, isn't it?
Well, that actually is the driving force, I always feel, is in the nicest possible way, nobody really cares why someone else's relative dies. And if you follow, that's not complete lacking, but the relatives of that person need to know, and they need to know the truth and understand what's gone on. Otherwise, I know, because I've seen it. After 2 years, the little niggles. Why? I don't think that should have happened. I think this should have happened. And these concerns build and build and build, and cause a lot of distress. So this is why we need the truth, and we need to be able to talk to relatives and explain to them. Sometimes in coroner's courts, sometimes in Crown courts, but also sometimes face to face. This is what's happened, and let them ask their questions then and be satisfied. And that is so important for their grieving process, to start from a basis of knowledge and truth.
So the tour begins on the 29th of September. That one's going to be at the Stafford Gatehouse, gatehousetheatre.co.uk. Then you make your way across the country, stopping off this time at Theatre 7 in Shrewsbury on Monday, the 6th of October, theatre7.co.uk, SEVERN is a spelling on 7 on that one. And then, once again, you stop off in the Midlands at the Lichfield Garrick Theatre on Tuesday, the 28th of October, lichfieldgarrick.com. And you can then explore this world that you have lived in and helped to sort of form in so many ways. But you're also going to be appearing on TV throughout the month of September as well, aren't you?
Yeah, there's some programs that we filmed earlier in the year, actually, about deaths in sort of unusual situations, deaths in water, deaths in antiquities. And we're doing a new series of The Truth About My Murder. So it's been a busy year.
Absolutely. Keeps you out of trouble, and keeps you explaining what goes on behind the scenes in making sure that we understand these cases. Dick Shepherd, out on the road with death, more unnatural causes. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to finding out about what goes on in the pathology behind these unexpected deaths.
Thank you, Jason.